Ladies and gentlemen, there is a kind of wealth that can't be stolen, and a kind of happiness that cannot be shaken. It doesn't live in your bank account. It lives in your backbone. It isn't parked in your driveway. It's parked in your discipline. It doesn't sparkle in public. It resonates in private, where your habits are born, where your thoughts take root, where your future is quietly decided by who you choose to become when nobody is watching. Because lasting wealth isn't a windfall. It's a way of life. And real happiness? It's not a mood. It's a mastery. Most people chase these things like mirages. Running harder, working longer, consuming more. But more does not equal meaningful. They accumulate noise and call it progress. But wealth, true wealth, is quiet. And happiness, real happiness, is built on things the world forgot how to measure. These are not tricks, they are truths. Not hacks, habits. And the first noble habit that builds both wealth and happiness? Self-respect. Not the kind you post, the kind you practice. Self-respect is saying no to what dims you. It's waking up early when your comfort begs you to stay asleep. It's holding your word not because it's convenient, but because it's who you are. It's choosing the food that fuels you, the habits that sharpen you, the people who challenge you. Because every time you betray yourself for short-term pleasure, you subtract from your soul. And every time you keep your promise to yourself, you multiply your power. Self-respect is the foundation of all wealth. Because a man who respects himself will not tolerate poverty of spirit, pocket, or purpose. The second noble habit? Decisive simplicity. In a world addicted to clutter of thought, of possessions, of opinions, the happiest and wealthiest are those who simplify with conviction. They don't chase 1,000 things. They master the essential. They don't ask what's trending. They ask what's true. They don't complicate success with endless options. They reduce it to a handful of disciplines done daily, deeply, and without compromise. Simplicity is not lack. It is clarity. And clarity gives birth to consistency. And consistency, over time, births results. The third noble habit is this: intentional thinking. Your thoughts are your architects. Most people live in a mental house built by their past, decorated with doubts and wired with fear. But the wealthy, the truly wealthy, think on purpose. They don't let thought happen to them. They shape it. They challenge every limiting belief. They upgrade their inner language until their mind becomes a machine for possibility. They don't think like everyone else. That's why they don't live like everyone else. You must think in alignment with the person you are becoming, not the one you used to be. Your wealth is a reflection of your inner dialogue. Clean it up, sharpen it, elevate it. The fourth noble habit is a brutal one: radical ownership. No more blame, no more waiting, no more if only. You are not a victim of circumstance. You are a creator of consequence. Everything in your life is either what you've created or what you've allowed. That's not judgment. That's freedom. Because the moment you own it all, the pain, the delay, the failures, the lack, is the same moment you reclaim your power to change it. Ownership is not shame. It is sovereignty. You stop negotiating with weakness. You stop blaming your parents, your past, your employer, your partner. You say, "This is mine, and because it's mine, I can rebuild it." The fifth noble habit: deliberate solitude. Silence is sacred. Space is powerful. And most people are terrified of both. Because in the silence, you meet your real self. You face the work you've avoided, the emotions you've numbed, the dreams you've buried. But solitude, true, deliberate solitude, is where wisdom is born, where alignment is restored, where vision is clarified. Every truly successful person protects their time alone. They don't just meditate, they listen to what matters, to what's next, to what needs to be cut, refined, or pursued. If you want clarity, stop talking, stop scrolling, get still. The answers you seek aren't out there. They're waiting in the quiet place you keep avoiding. The sixth noble habit is rare. Joyful generosity. Give not just to appear generous, but to become powerful. Not because you have to, because you get to. The happiest people don't hoard their wins. They share them. Their wealth is not a wall, it's a well. They give time, attention, wisdom, kindness, and, yes, money, not to prove their worth, but to multiply it in others. They understand that money is a magnifier, and when it meets a generous heart, it creates ripple effects that outlive the giver. True wealth is not measured by what you can keep. It's measured by what you can afford to give away without fear. And only the truly wealthy in mind, in spirit, can give like that. The seventh noble habit is this: intentional consumption. You are not just what you eat. You are what you consume in every sense. What you read, what you watch, who you follow, what you allow into your mental and emotional bloodstream. Guard it like a gatekeeper, because every piece of content you consume is either building your mind or polluting it. The wealthy don't binge mindlessly. They don't feed off gossip. They don't marinate in fear-based media. They curate what goes in because they know what goes in eventually comes out. In their energy, in their focus, in their decisions. So, audit your inputs and you will transform your outputs. The eighth noble habit: relentless follow through. Start less. Finish more. Every unfinished goal erodes your self-trust. Every broken promise weakens your power. But every completed task, no matter how small, is a vote for the person you're becoming. The happiest people don't start and stop. They start and ship. They move in rhythm. They close loops. They finish books. They keep appointments. They do what they said they would do long after the mood they set it in has died. That kind of integrity is rare, but it's magnetic. And it creates wealth, because in a world of half-hearted promises, certainty is a currency. The ninth noble habit: unshakable gratitude. Not the soft, polite kind. The warrior's gratitude. The kind that looks life in the eye and says, thank you even for this. Even for the pain. Even for the setbacks. Even for the silence. Gratitude is not weakness. It is weaponized awareness. Because when you see your life through the lens of abundance, you stop chasing and you start receiving. You stop living in lack. You start living in overflow. Gratitude unlocks joy. Joy expands energy. And energy, when aimed with discipline, builds empires. So be grateful. Not because everything is perfect. Be grateful because you are still here and you have more inside you than the world has yet to see. And that is a wealth no number can measure. Because when you live with these habits, not just occasionally, but daily, fiercely, without compromise, something begins to shift. You stop being a servant to your circumstances and start becoming the sculptor of your destiny. You walk different, talk different, think different. Not because you're trying to impress anyone, but because you're finally impressed by yourself. You've tasted what it means to wake up with purpose. You've felt the calm that comes from knowing you are in control. You've seen how quickly wealth begins to flow when you stop leaking your energy and start directing it. Because wealth and happiness real, lasting, deep, are never random. They are never accidents. They are never luck. They are a reflection of your systems, your decisions, your mindset, your habits. And if your habits are noble, your life becomes powerful. You don't just collect money, you collect meaning. You don't just build net worth, you build inner worth. And that kind of worth, you carry it into every room. In the way you shake hands, in the way you speak truth, in the way you sit with silence. And don't squirm because your soul is no longer chaotic. It's centered. You have nothing to prove because your results speak louder than your voice ever could. And the people who encounter you, they know. They feel it. They feel the weight of a life built on principle. A life built on practice, not just platitudes. A life of depth, rhythm, fire, and peace all at once. Because you have become the rarest kind of person, not just rich in your wallet, rich in your spirit, rich in your identity, rich in your ability to create, give, endure, and lead. And that kind of wealth, it doesn't fluctuate with the markets. It doesn't fade with time. It multiplies across generations through actions in legacy. So stand in that, not with arrogance, but with quiet knowing that you are no longer hoping for wealth. You are living it. You are no longer chasing happiness. You are embodying it because you, through these noble habits, have become the very thing the world is still searching for. Unshakable, unstoppable, unforgettable. And now, your presence alone becomes a message, not because you speak it, but because you live it. The way you show up on time, the way your words match your actions, the way you look people in the eye, not with superiority, but with certainty, the way your energy enters the room before you do. It's in how you lead when no one's asking for leadership, how you serve without being asked, how you listen without needing to respond. That is what nobility looks like in the modern world. Not in titles, not in appearances, but in the invisible architecture of your habits, built one powerful choice at a time. And those choices have changed you. You no longer negotiate with average. You no longer tolerate emotional poverty, mental clutter, spiritual starvation. You demand more, not from the world, but from yourself. And in doing so, the world rises to meet you. Because wealth gravitates to clarity. Happiness flows toward discipline. And success becomes inevitable when your habits are rooted in truth. You've stopped asking, what do I get from this? And started asking, who am I becoming through this? And the answer is finally worthy of the life you've always imagined. You're not chasing it anymore. You're living it fully, finally, and permanently. Because permanence is never built on passion alone, it's built on practice. Daily, deliberate, unwavering. And now, your days are no longer random, they're engineered. Each morning is an intention. Each action is a declaration. Each habit is a foundation stone in a life designed for expansion. And that expansion is not just in your income, it's in your patience, in your focus, in your ability to endure pressure and still move with grace. You've built a resilience most people dream about. Not because you avoided struggle, but because you embraced it. You learned to bleed without breaking, to fall without folding, to rise without drama. And now, your life is not proof that it was easy. It's proof that it was worth it. That the habits no one saw created results no one can deny. You don't need luck when you have alignment. You don't need noise when you live with nobility. And you certainly don't need to chase happiness when it flows from you like light, like gravity, like truth. This is who you are now. Not an echo, a force, not a follower, a foundation. And when others ask how you did it, how you built wealth and peace, how you lead with strength and softness, how you walk with power and humility, you'll simply answer, I made a vow to live with habits no one could see, so I could create a life no one could ignore. And that vow, quiet, sacred, unshakable, became the seed of your transformation. You didn't wait for the world to approve it. You didn't ask permission. You decided. And that decision has now become destiny. Because when you commit to noble habits, you no longer just live for comfort, you live for contribution. You no longer chase validation, you live in value. You no longer measure success by what you collect, but by what you cultivate. You've become the architect of something rare. A life where wealth is not measured by digits, but by depth. Where happiness is not conditional, but constitutional. Where peace is not the absence of problems, but the presence of preparedness. Because the truth is, the world doesn't need more flashy success stories. It needs more grounded legacies. It needs people like you who live what they preach. who move with fire and lead with light, who understand that greatness isn't what you get. It's what you give through who you've become. So keep going. Keep building. Keep honoring the habits that got you here, because they didn't just change your life. They've already started changing the world around you. There's something deep inside you. Not a whisper, not a wish, but a roar buried under years of noise, silenced by fear, numbed by routine, and forgotten by a world that rewards comfort over courage. It's not gone. It's just waiting. Dormant, but alive. Your hidden potential. Not everyone hears it. Some ignore it, some bury it. Some pretend it was never there. But you feel it. In the quiet moments, in the stillness between distractions, a pressure in your chest, a tension in your soul, the voice that says, you were made for more, not more things, more truth, more impact, more becoming. And yet, so many never unlock it. Not because it's unreachable, but because it's unclaimed. Because they look for potential in the mirror, in the applause, in the results. But potential is not found. It's forged. Potential is not a gift. It's an inheritance that demands activation. And the first key is belief. Not belief in luck, not belief in hope, but belief in your capacity to rise, to transform, to shed the outdated version of yourself, and step fully into the beast you were always meant to become. You must believe that the gap between who you are and who you could be is not a canyon, it's a corridor. A hallway of discipline, decisions, and design. You must believe that greatness is not reserved for the chosen few, but for the few who choose it daily, deliberately, and without excuse. Belief is the spark, but it's not enough. You must build what you believe, and you start by mastering your mindset, because every prison begins in the mind, and every revolution begins there too. The world told you to be realistic, to play it safe, to shrink your dreams into digestible pieces. But potential does not live in logic. It lives in possibility. It breathes in the lungs of the visionary. It thrives in the minds of those who reject mediocrity like poison. You must rewire the lens through which you see yourself. Not based on your past, but based on your future identity. Stop asking what you're capable of based on where you've been. Ask based on who you must become. Your mind must serve your mission, not your memory. Burn the idea that you're stuck. You're not a tree. You move, you grow, you transform. When you command your thoughts, you command your outcomes. When you elevate your inner dialogue, you elevate your entire life. And from that mindset flows clarity. Clarity is power. Without it, your energy leaks. Your potential dilutes. You chase shadows instead of building empires. Clarity means knowing the target. Not the one the world told you to want, but the one your soul demands. What do you actually want? Not vaguely, not someday, precisely. Because you cannot hit a target you won't define. You cannot climb a mountain you refuse to name. And don't just chase goals, build standards. Goals are dreams with deadlines. Standards are expectations with consequences. Raise your standards, and your potential stops being optional. Clarity makes your decisions inevitable. When your why is solid, your what becomes automatic and your how begins to appear. From clarity emerges vision, the art of seeing what isn't visible yet. And make no mistake, vision is not fantasy. It's future reality painted in the colors of conviction. Vision doesn't beg for permission. It demands execution. And the clearer your vision, the less validation you need. You stop waiting for the world to understand and start building it anyway. You stop waiting for the perfect time, because the perfect time doesn't exist. There is only now, and now is always sacred. So, speak your vision into the silence. Write it, shout it, commit to it like it's your only shot, because it is. But vision alone is not the lockpick to your potential. You need purpose. Without purpose, the vision is hollow. Purpose turns your goals into a mission. It connects your grind to something greater than results, greater than ego, greater than money. Purpose is the anchor that keeps you grounded when life throws its weight against you. And it will. The storms don't ask if you're ready. They just arrive. And when they do, your purpose will be the only voice loud enough to remind you why you began. Find it. Feed it. Follow it. It may come through pain. It may come through silence. It may come through loss. But when it come ashonor it, let it refine your steps. Let it set fire to your excuses. With purpose in your chest and vision in your eyes, you become undeniable. But none of it matters without discipline. Because the potential inside you is not unlocked through passion. It's unlocked through practice. Discipline is the bridge between thought and transformation. You don't need to feel like it. You need to do it anyway. Because champions are not created in moments of motivation. They are revealed in the dark hours, the quiet reps, the boring, brutal, beautiful consistency that nobody claps for. Discipline doesn't care about your feelings. It serves your future. It shows up when motivation dies, when the world stops watching, when your results are still invisible. And discipline, practiced long enough, becomes identity. I am someone who shows up. I am someone who follows through. I am someone who honors their potential. Say it until it becomes true. Until you stop negotiating with weakness. Until the habits become muscle memory and the standard becomes instinct. Because action is not just what you do. It's who you become. And action is the next key. Because action is the catalyst, the dividing line, the point of no return. You can believe with fire, think with clarity, speak with conviction, but if you do not move, you do not transform. Action is the great translator. It turns inner potential into outer reality. It takes dreams off the shelf and forges them into form. But don't just act. Act strategically. Act intentionally. The difference between movement and progress is alignment. Stop confusing being busy with being productive. Stop mistaking noise for momentum. Every action must be tied to the person you're becoming, not the comfort you're protecting. Ask yourself, is this action worthy of the future I want? If it's not, cut it, strip it, replace it. Your time is currency. Your energy is sacred. You cannot afford the luxury of distraction. And here's the thing, they won't see the work at first. They won't clap. They won't get it. But that's good. That's a gift. Because silence trains your integrity. It sharpens your hunger. It tests whether you're doing it for attention or for alignment. Those who build in silence are the ones who last. But the weight of action, the cost of commitment requires fuel. And that fuel is gratitude. Gratitude is not weakness. It is not soft. It is one of the most strategic tools for unlocking potential. Why? Because a grateful mind is a present mind, and a present mind is a powerful one. When you're grateful, you see. You see how far you've come. You see the lessons inside the losses. You see the opportunity inside the challenge. Gratitude isn't about being content with less, it's about being empowered by what you already have so you can build more. Gratitude keeps you grounded in truth, not panic. It keeps your heart open in the grind. It protects your joy from erosion. And joy is a secret weapon. Because the one who loves the process will always outlast the one addicted to results. But to sustain that gratitude, to hold that fire, you must master adaptability. Because the path will not go as planned. The market will shift. The people will change. The storms will come. And the rigid will break. Adaptability is the wisdom to evolve without losing your essence. It is the art of adjusting your method without abandoning your mission. You must be anchored in principle, but fluid in approach. The most powerful version of you is not the most stubborn, it's the most strategic. The one who learns, who shifts, who moves forward anyway. Because the goal is not to control everything, it's to stay aligned, no matter what changes. And alignment demands resilience. Resilience is more than survival. It's the ability to rise with more wisdom, more grit, more clarity after every fall. You will be knocked down. You will fail. You will question everything. But resilience is the voice inside that says, this is not where I end. This is where I refine. Resilience is earned in the trenches, in the tears, in the moments where quitting looks noble but staying looks divine. You get up, you rebuild, you reinforce your standard, because your potential doesn't shrink. When life gets hard, it sharpens. Every challenge is not the end of your story. It is a chapter in your evolution. And as you evolve, you learn. You must. Which brings us to the final key: learning. Lifelong, hungry, obsessed learning. Not academic, not passive, but learning that is applied. Learning that transforms. Because the person you are today cannot hold the weight of the future you crave. You must grow into it. And that growth comes through humility. The humility to admit you don't know everything. The humility to seek mentors. The humility to stay a student, even when you become a master. Your ego will scream that you've made it, but your purpose will whisper, there's more. The moment you think you've arrived is the moment your potential begins to rot. Stay hungry. Stay curious. Stay in pursuit of the next edge, the next truth, the next level, because you were never meant to plateau. You were meant to elevate over and over again. Then breathe in deeply, because this is the final ignition. The moment the words become a mirror, the moment you stop listening and start becoming. You have felt it, that fire, that quiet ache, that unexplainable pull towards something greater. It is not random. It is not a phase. It is the call of your own becoming. This is the hour of awakening, not a motivation, not a pep talk, an awakening. To remember who you are, to return to what was buried beneath the noise, to unlock the version of you that doesn't beg life for permission, but commands it with alignment. Because here's what no one told you. You don't have to earn your potential. You were born with it, but you do have to activate it. With belief, clarity, vision, purpose, with discipline, action, gratitude, adaptability, with resilience, and learning relentlessly. You unlock your potential by living on the edge of discomfort. You unlock your potential by choosing truth over ease. You unlock your potential by saying yes to the version of you that terrifies your comfort zone. Because that version, the one who builds, who leads, who becomes the example, is already inside you. Right now, it's not a future version. It's a hidden one. Hidden beneath delay. Hidden beneath self-doubt. Hidden beneath stories you didn't even write but kept repeating. But the keys have been given. The lock is in front of you. And now, the choice is yours. Will you go back to normal? Back to average? Back to a life where potential dies in the dark? Or will you rise? Will you walk forward shaking, uncertain, but undeniably ready? Will you unlock that door? Because on the other side is not just success, not just freedom, not just a better life. On the other side is you, fully alive, fully awake, fully unstoppable. The world does not need another person playing small. It needs you. Unleashed. The real you. The hidden potential set free. So go now. Unlock it. Live it. Become it. And don't look back.